The Mystery of the Virgin Queen. Elizabeth I. Queen Elizabeth I. Not just the ruler. It's influenced the course of British history, but also a very influential figure for world history. She has diplomatic and military political talent. There are water treatments, a heart for the nation, life without getting married. According to legend, Queen Elizabeth I once said, "What if after I die? On the tombstone, I engraved on this queen who rules this age. Until she died, she was a virgin. Then I have no regrets." You could say her life was bright and lonely. A childhood full of wind and waves. Queen Elizabeth II. Born 1533, died 1603 and reigned for 45 years. During her reign, Britain has become a global force of influence. But the Queen's life has a title. This Virgin Queen. There's a lot of mystery. And polling mother of Elizabeth. She was the first Queen Theo. King Henry VIII. Sleek hentai 8 enthusiastic. King Henry VIII. The 5 children of the first queen. 3 children born prematurely, 1 miscarriage only survived Mary. 8th Henry for wanting a prince. He married the first queen. This divorce lasted for more than 6 years. He eventually married the first queen. Invalidated declaration of legal marriage to the album Bow Female. Make her queen. Just born. Elizabeth was granted the right to succeed by King Henry VIII. He had a daughter, Mary, with his first wife. But when Elizabeth went to be a Queen, Engboin has 7. And then beheaded. Elizabeth was immediately stripped of her title of princess. Before transmission. Inheriting mother's property and forbidding living near father. Then her father married another wife. Born 6th Prince Edward. And you're assigned to one person after another. Guardian. Living in the absence of family love. So she just kept her head in her studies. And train yourself to be independent. Right from the baby. She taught herself a lot of different knowledge. And always keep a certain consistency. Jenny, the British historian. She described herself as an educated woman. I know Latin in addition to English. French, Italian, Greek. Knowledge is very broad. She has a sense of humor, she laughs happily. She's very timely and capable of responding. Every movement is coherent, clearly uncluttered. Be careful every little bit. Fate as Queen. In the will of King Henry VIII before his death. Regulations in order. He inherited the throne after his death. Edward VI as heir after Edward's death. If there are no children, the throne by the eldest Mary. Or Mary's children inherited. After Mary died. If there are no inherited children, the throne will be returned to Elizabeth. Look at the order according to this will. The possibility of Elizabeth's accession to the throne. It seems very small. Unless a miracle happens. 1547, 8th King Henry died. Edward VI inherited the throne at the age of 10. But this sick prince died at the age of 15. Leave a will. Remove Mary and Elizabeth from the line of succession. The Queen is a trend. He was only on the throne for 2 weeks. Return to the Mary hand. 2 sisters, Mary and Elizabeth, enter London. In the applause of the people. But their closeness did not last. Queen Mary on the radio. The most important step. That's the thing. To take measures to abolish religious reform. Edward's 6th spear. force people to worship Christianity, to suppress the opposition of the new believers. She brought over 300 new degrees, including 3 cardinal. The cardinal took to the crematorium. Many priests and people do not want to leave the faith. They had to flee abroad. They call her the bloodthirsty Mary. Elizabeth is a new believer. It's a thorn in Queen Mary's eye, of course. Under the oppression of Queen Mary, the new believers hope for the future in Elizabeth. Although Princess Elizabeth is very careful, avoids suspicion, but still not immune to harmlessness. After a new rabbinic rebellion was quelled, Elizabeth was slandered. Is the mastermind of this plan of rebellion. Queen Mary orders the arrest of Elizabeth. The Queen's courtiers. They wanted to execute Elizabeth. This puts her life in danger. Then Willard, though, the mastermind of the rebellion, was up in front of the scaffold, admitted that his testimony was fictitious. But in Queen Mary's heart, there's still doubt. Mary took Elizabeth to St. James's Palace and locked up in the Tower of London. After 8 weeks was moved to the County Essex. Oxford do hung enjoy Beningfus detention loose management. The troubles are finally over. 1558 Queen Mary dies without children. The last miracle has appeared. Princess Elizabeth, third heir in the will of King Henry VIII. She became Queen Elizabeth I. The age of Queen Elizabeth I. Elizabeth I becomes queen. The people are all happy. 24111558. Queen Elizabeth with 1,000 guards. It comes from Hafford, straight to London. She looked out the window. All along the way, I saw the national flag flying towards her. It shows loyalty. The first thing Queen Elizabeth did is to identify the minister and use it to make her dominance more favorable. From the beginning, she relies on her intellect and her keen vision. Embracing people in the new age. Was trained at Cambridge University. By nomination Ciso, i.e. Baron Burghley. Then he became Minister of State. The Queen used Nicholas Bacon as her minister. Between the Seal Thomas, Harry the warehouse manager. Because of honesty, he was promoted to Lord and became Lord. Successor King 7. These people, like Queen Elizabeth, she's a feminist. Steady humanity. The Queen chose these men as her subjects. Advisor for me. To stabilize and run the country. Next, Queen Elizabeth tackles religious peril. This time in the country divided into 2 major factions. Religion and 9 religions. See each other as enemies. And she came up with soft measures to tie it up. One side. Find the middle way between Hinduism and the 9 religions. On the one hand, quietly taking over the leadership of both sects. Full of authority. It was a chronicler who recorded that. Her attitude was mild but dignified. For the extremists, you show humility to people. They don't lose their dignity. You are so talented. Every step is under perfect direction. Look carefully at each event. Listen to the judgment 3 times. Tell the story 4 times. Her spirit looked everywhere. You don't seem to ignore anything. In military terms, Queen Elizabeth's greatest achievement was they defeated the invaders. The Spanish conquest of Granada in 1588. In the waters off the west coast of England. He also built his navy to become one of the world's leading forces. 45 years of Queen Elizabeth's reign. It's also 45 years of water. You He has made outstanding achievements in many areas. For example, in the field of literature. Only in Vietnam appeared a giant. Like playwright William Shakespeare. It's enough to make sense of this period. It's not just that historians called the time of Queen Elizabeth's reign. It was the Elizabethan era. Queen Elizabeth used her power by creating a balance. It's a breakthrough between the characteristics of men and women. She asserts her authority with sensitivity, express in the characteristics of traditional women: empathy, compassion, Germany, patience and willingness to take advice. It's about the characteristics of the strong. She is considered a brave person, callous determination, and had a vision not inferior to any southern king. Love and single life. Queen Elizabeth I. Described as a very beautiful girl, with a beautiful face, blonde sparkling. The body makes the wrong person. She likes makeup and makes up very well. So it's always been the center of every dance, to make men fall in love. It is said that King Philip II of Spain, King Eric of Sweden, and the Prince of France is infatuated with the Queen. In the court of England, there are always nobles. I want to win the heart of the Lord. And she's a young girl. Queen Elizabeth is not indifferent to men. They say that as a teenager, she used to love her sponsor, Thomas. Later, when she was queen, there are also some men who are favored, but none of them reached the position of husband. Even the closest lover is Robert Daddy, someone who has a wife. The relationship between them is public. Even Daddy can be free. Go straight to Queen Elizabeth's bedroom. When Daddy 2 wife AI also think the Queen will marry. But that didn't happen. The highest title Daddy ever achieved. Just the Earl of Leicester. At the age of 46, Queen Elizabeth is in love with a 23-year-old boy, Duke Ali Khan of France. But contrary to everyone's expectations, the Duke can't be the Queen's husband. And so do some of her other lovers. Just love and be crowned. But marriage is not. Even one of her lovers was the Countess. She is 30 years younger than you. He was ordered by the Queen to be beheaded. Is a Queen Elizabeth who's always under her wing to urge marriage, from the moment of his accession to the throne until he was old. But she still refused without saying why. There's a theory that she's too rational. I don't want to push myself to the right. Sharing power by a binding marriage. Because if you get married, sure, the Queen's subject must be a noble, or a king, a foreign prince. Marrying a foreign husband, it will help create a strong alliance. It can also make your own country. Foreign interference. It gave Queen Elizabeth a headache, and decided not to risk it. There is also an opinion that Queen Elizabeth has been single for the rest of her life. Too afraid of marriage. Obsession with family matters. Before, her mother was favored and then she lost her head. In just 3 years, her father married 6 wives. On the one hand you are a lover. The lover on the other hand, constantly betrayed. Treat the person you once loved coldly. Maybe the Queen finds marriage too precarious and scary. There are even people who think Queen Elizabeth is not normal. Physiologically speaking, not a real woman. But it's all hypothetical. The real reason why she didn't make it all her life, it's always a mystery. With the people of that time, the beautiful queen is single. That made her image sacred. Like a goddess. They worshipped her and called her the Virgin Queen. Thank you for watching the video on the Celebrity channel. Don't forget to click the subscribe button below to support the group.